Hello and welcome to Empire of Wargames. My name is ePlash and today we are going to talk about boarding patrol rumors, and we are going to talk a little bit about lists and what I expect to see in these boxes. If you enjoy the content, consider leaving a thumbs up and subscribing, as well as checking the links down in the description below if you want to support what I do. So as some of you may be aware, there are boarding patrol box rumors roaming the internet, and a lot of people have been asking, rightfully so, where is the boarding patrol box for my specific faction? And it seems that GW is going to release more of them. First up, my opinion on boarding patrol boxes is very positive because they kind of replace start collectings for me. Their price point is excellent. You can get them for a little more than 60 euros here in Europe. I'm not sure about the US and the UK, but in my opinion, they have the perfect price point to get into an army and to not overwhelm a new player with a massive kind of 3-digit price tag. So yeah, my opinion on boarding patrols is very positive, and I'm glad we are getting more. At least that's what rumors suggest. And the 3 factions that are going to get covered next are Grey Knights, Tau, and Dark Eldar or Drukhari. And I've prepared lists for them. I've played all 3 lists for them. So even if those rumors turn out to be wrong or something, you can still watch the video and extract useful information from it, because those lists are still fun to run, useful. So yeah, let's go over the lists. Let's talk a little bit about why I decided to include some units, why not, and yeah, let's go over them one by one. Alright, the first faction we are going to cover are the Grey Knights, the faction I have probably the least experience with out of the 3 presented today. So first up, we are sitting at 495 points. It is obviously a boarding patrol list, and our HQ choice here is Castle and Crow. Why is that? Because rumors are suggesting that Castle and Crow is going to be the HQ choice of the box. That is the only reason I included him. I think the new Castle and Crow model looks great, but including a non-generic HQ choice is a huge downside, especially for all the veterans who maybe just wanted to bolster their army and add some strike squads or some terminators to their army, and they can't, because honestly having a second Castle and Crow does nothing for you. So yeah, if you're new to the faction, or if you're looking at the faction and you want to start it, Castle and Crow is definitely a great HQ choice to start with, but for veterans it's going to take off a lot of value. But still, decent HQ choice, plays well, is decent at range. I think Ghostly Bonds as a psychic power is insane on boarding patrol games, simply because movement is so crucial. And yeah, he just does everything. And that is my general opinion of the Grey Knights. Grey Knights are great in boarding patrol because they're good at everything. They can shoot decently at least, and they are really good in melee. And that is exactly what you need. You need the kind of balance. Because sometimes you just stand in a corridor and you shoot a lot, and sometimes you really need to get in there to contest an objective, and Grey Knights can do both of it with any unit, and that is a great flexibility to have. Next up, we are going to talk about the Brotherhood Terminator Squad. The Brotherhood Terminator Squad is basically what I described a second ago. They're decent at shooting, and they're really good in melee. And depending on the weapon, they can be very flexible as well. They can also cast psychic powers, so they have availability for smite. Just dealing mortal wounds in boarding patrol games is a great way to chew through units, because most of the units are small and dealing any kind of damage is very relevant. And yeah, just Terminators, man. Terminators are made for boarding patrols and that kind of scenario and setting, and I think they are perfect, and it would suck if they wouldn't be included in the box. And last but not least, I expect there to be a full box of a strike squad. So basically, I divided them into a strike squad and a purifier squad, but you could obviously have all the different options available to you. You could go for 2 strike squads, 2 purifier squads, and everything in between, and there are more options. But generally speaking, I think adding another strike squad here makes sense, because troops choices still have a distinct advantage when it comes to objective holding. Meanwhile, the purifier squad is in there because of their distinct psychic power. That is basically a smite that hits way harder but has a shorter range, and shorter ranges are not that much of a problem in boarding patrol games. So I think they work very well. They don't see a lot of play, at least in regular 40k, like 2000 points, at least to my knowledge. So yeah, adding them here and playing with them and using their psychic power to a lot of effectivity, like 2 or 3 times before they died, is really, really good, and it works very well. So yeah, I think that is a realistic composition when it comes to the box itself. It is going to be a high value box at that point, but we're going to have to wait and see the price point of the Chaos box anyway and see if they all cost the same or not. But yeah, expecting Castle and Crow, a Terminator squad, and a Strike squad box is not unrealistic, I think. Next up are going to be the Drukhari, and the Drukhari are going to be a little bit of a shorter and quicker thing because it seems to be very, very simple, and I'm not 100% sure what GW is going to do with this box. So let's go over it. The rumors suggested that it is going to be a witch cult heavy box. The problem is that a lot of witch cult models are not really that useful for boarding actions or boarding patrol games. And yeah, you basically only have the witches available and everything that is basically a hired blade or anything in between. So I've run this list multiple times at this point, and it works well. I think it's very effective. Running a lot of melee or only melee is very, very strong in boarding patrol games, simply because you can get there very easily. Cover is very strong, and if your opponent is shooting at you and doesn't see the entire unit but just 3 models or so, those are the only models they can shoot, and then you only have to remove those 3 models even though they deal 20 wounds, for example. And that is really strong and something that you can make work for yourself. So yeah, the only list I could really come up with is a Succubus with all the necessary upgrades, Hackatrix Blood Brides because they're just very effective, and why not? I understand that they are a little bit more expensive, but who cares? And a regular squad of witches that is not maximum size, but I just expect there to be 2 boxes of witches because they are some of the cheapest troops choices you can buy separately, and 2 boxes of incubi because why not? And that is basically my suggestion and what I think we are going to see, but GW could obviously change it up. Instead of the Succubus, there could be a Lilith Hesperax. They could add some stuff that is not inherently witch culty, but expect there to be either Succubus and Lilith and witches at the minimum. I think they are going to be incubi, not quite sure if they are going to include 2 boxes or not, but we are going to have to wait and see. If you have any recommendations or any suggestions when it comes to this specific box and when it comes to witch cult boarding patrols, let me know in the comments below, because yeah, other than this one, I don't really see a cool and fun list that GW could come up with. And last but not least is the Tau boarding patrol list, and this one is going to be very interesting. This one is including Commander Farsight, and it is the Farsight Enclave, simply because the rumors suggest that the new Farsight model is going to release first in a boarding patrol box. That is daring. I'm not quite sure if that is going to happen the way we think it is, because usually these are included in 2-player battle boxes, simply to make the jump even more enticing for people who maybe, I don't know, maybe are on the fence to start a second army or something. Boarding patrols, I'm not so sure. People are not going to compromise there. They're just going to pick it up and call it a day because they have good value. They're not that expensive, and you get a lot of other stuff. And rumors suggested that next to Farsight, we are going to get some kind of battle suits. So I included Crisis battle suits in there simply because they are so iconic for the faction and for the Farsight Enclave. And they are just very strong, and they got nerfed like 3 times in a row now. I still think they are playable. They are good. Depending on your loadout and everything, it depends. But I think with Flamers and so on, they have their place in boarding patrol games. Next up, we have stealth battle suits. They are just your basic stealth battle suits. I think they fit there as well. They have decent weapons. They have decent abilities that work well for boarding patrol games. There's really not much more to add here. It's a very vanilla unit, and the same applies to a breacher team. A breacher team, from a lore perspective, was made for boarding patrols and for kind of the setting boarding patrols take place in. So their weapons are very short range, they hit very hard, and yeah, they play very well. Overwatch is a mechanic you are going to use quite a lot, and you can make it work even better with certain Tau stratagems and combinations. So the breacher squad is going to die in melee no matter what, and getting into melee is easy in boarding patrols. So whenever you play any kind of Tau in boarding patrol games, consider getting or making sure that your breachers and so on are safe for at least 2 turns, so they can shoot for a little bit before they die. And those are all the list suggestions I have. I think including Farsight and the new model in a boarding patrol box would be very interesting. But I really hope in that case that they are going to reprint those boarding patrol boxes at least until 10th edition drops. Ideally, they just make these continuous and support this entire format for at least the duration of 10th edition as well, which would make it super easy for me to get new players into the hobby, to recommend cheaper boxes than combat patrol boxes. And, you know, combining two value boxes like boarding patrols and combat patrol boxes sounds like a great start for an army. So yeah, the rumors are the rumors, take them with a grain of salt as always, but making these videos is fun regardless. So if you have any opinions on the rumors, on the lists, on the new models and so on, please drop them down in the comments below. Other than that, I hope this video was insightful and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.